everyone. I am so excited to be here for this Real Women, Real Purpose talk show with Tamara Robinson. Yes.
Hi.
Oh my goodness. Wow, y'all. I am Catherine Yarbrough. I'm one of the show hosts of the Real Women, Real Purpose talk show. I'm also a global facilitator in the On Purpose Woman global community, which is created this wonderful Real Women, Real Purpose talk show. And I have my own business. I'm the creator of the Vibrant Entrepreneurs Circle. And I do other kinds of really cool things. But I am delighted to be here today with Tamara. We're going to talk about how you can reclaim your pleasure.
Yes. We might even talk about orgasms. Ooh.
Holy moly. So pleasure is all kinds of things.
It
Yes,
is
yes,
all
yes.
there's a wide spectrum of things that are incorporated with pleasure. Yes.
Love it. I love it. So, for those of you who are new to Tamara, she is a sex, intimacy, and body confidence coach. So, she specializes in working with people over 40 so that they feel confident in the bedroom and can have more,
Yes.
better sex and more intimacy. And just pleasure overall, right? Pleasure overall.
Yes.
It's more than just in the bedroom, correct?
Exactly. Exactly.
Mm-hmm,
It is.
mm-hmm,
Yep.
mm-hmm. Yeah, so tell us about that. Tell us about all that pleasure can possibly be.
Okay, well, I'd like to start with, as I was preparing for this conversation, I wanted to start with like the dictionary version or the dictionary definition of pleasure. I just wanted to see, like, I just actually Googled it before we started. So what I found is that pleasure is a feeling of happy satisfaction and enjoyment. Okay,
Oh,
yeah. And then the next definition was a sensual or sexual gratification.
oh, it's
So
got
that
that in
was
the dictionary.
It was in there. I was surprised to see that. I thought it would just be all about just enjoyment and happiness, but it included sensuality and sexuality. And that's what I like to talk about is with when it comes to pleasure, because it does, even though I am a sex coach, some people are not ready to talk about pleasure in the bedroom. And that's usually why they come to me, because there's something that they're not enjoying in the bedroom. And what I like to help my clients uh, get to the point of actually the first step is defining what pleasure means for you, because pleasure is different for you, it's different for me, it's different for anyone, anyone else out there. Pleasure is different for all of us, and it depends on what we've experienced, what we like, what we don't like. And so once you can define that, yes, we have the dictionary or the Google definition of pleasure, but you have to define what that means for you, and basically it's what feels good to you, what makes you happy, right?
So, okay, so I love this because we're not talking about just pleasure in the bedroom, which is a really cool topic. And woo-hoo, when I do this, that's what I'm thinking. I'm getting hot and,
Right.
heavy over here. But I love the full range of pleasure and that being one piece of it. And so, yeah, because I feel like I'm not sure if I would describe the fun time I'm having with you. I would describe it as pleasurable. I mean, if I could hang out with people and laugh and feel inspired, like what we've been doing now on the show and before the show, I mean, it's totally pleasurable, right?
Yes, we had a good laugh right before it started. So it's all pleasure. That's You can find pleasure in everything. You
Hmm.
can find you can add pleasure to your life in different ways all throughout the day, from the moment you wake up in the morning till the time you lay down at night. There's ways to find pleasure, and it's just finding time to fill your life with things that make you feel good. And then another thing that I've noticed, that there's another level to that. It's knowing that it's having a feeling of deservingness and worthiness. That's another level to it, because sometimes as women, we get caught up in, not deserve, we don't feel like we deserve something because we're always giving to other people. We're making sure that other people experience pleasure or satisfaction in their lives, whether it's our spouse, a partner, children, family, whatever, the job, your business, your home. We want to give pleasure or give satisfaction to other people, but we don't give it back to ourselves. And sometimes it's either because we don't have time, or we may not feel like we deserve it. And
Mm.
in order to feel like you deserve pleasure, there's nothing you have to necessarily do. It's just knowing that you want it and you can have it. That's the simplest way. It's the simplest way.
Oh, that ties into all the manifesting that I taught to people over the years. And the first step being, well, I often talk about the first step as being knowing what you don't want, which probably connects to this on multiple levels. Like, I don't want to feel like I've got too many things booked on my calendar that I actually have to cancel something because I feel so miserable. How was this week? I'm an entrepreneur, solopreneur. I get to create my schedule. What did I do? This is not pleasurable.
Oh no. Oh no. Well,
Yeah,
then
so
in that moment, you can just breathe, like the sign behind you, just breathe. Because meditation, breathing can be a form of pleasure. If you're having a busy day or busy schedule or busy week, just breathe.
there you go. There
Just
you go. Because you can, in any moment, you've just told us we can find pleasure, but we have to realize that it's possible to tune into that.
exactly, exactly. And I
And
can, we can always remember that now this is going into the sexual part of pleasure, but it kind of ties in. But there's a body part that we have as women that its only purpose is for pleasure.
are you talking about the
We're
clitoris? Is
talking
that
about
what?
the clitoris. We are. Woo! So
Okay.
that goes into the sexual part, but I'm just saying that the fact that we have that body part whose soul its only purpose is for pleasure means that we're designed for pleasure. And
Oh,
there's
so this
nothing
is.
that you have to do to deserve it. You just decide that you're going to have it and you make time for it.
Mhm. Okay, so we're built in worthy for pleasure because it's built in to our bodies to have,
Literally.
literally to have that pleasure.
Cuz
And let me
what
just
else
say,
does the clitoris do? What else? That's all it
yeah,
does.
there you go. Thank you,
Exactly.
clitoris. Okay, I like hanging out with you because you heard me say it the first time. I had to practically whisper clitoris, but now I'm like
Yes.
the clitoris.
Clitoris. Everybody say it with us. Clitoris.
There you go, everybody. Clitoris.
Right, right.
My goodness, what's another word or phrase that's hard for people to say? I mean, I can say orgasm. I'm good with that. Is there anything else that we need to get me out of my box? I mean, I can say penis.
Penis. I think anything sexual, people usually have trouble saying even sex. They might say do it or, the thing or, it's like we have these fancy words when you could just say sex. You're talking about sex and orgasms and, vulvas versus vaginas. It depends. I mean, everybody has their term for it, so I feel like our body parts and have these terms and we should use them. We shouldn't, give them other words, especially when we're
Like down
like
there, down
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 there.
there.
Yeah. Like where? My feet? Are you talking about my feet? How far down?
Oh my gosh, I love it. Yeah, it's so interesting how we do that because we're just not practiced, and there's that cultural discomfort around talking about our body parts, our sexual experiences. I have one good friend that I talk to about it, but I don't typically go around and talk about sexual experiences
Right.
because we just don't do it. But it's part of our human experience and it's part of our pleasure experience too. So would you like to say more about that? Because I know that that's what a big chunk of the coaching that you do is around the sexual experience, right?
It is. And usually clients come to me with an issue or a concern that they have regarding sex, but then usually we get to a point where we're discussing desire or we're discussing pleasure, and then at some point during the process they may realize that their initial desire or their initial reason for coming to me has shifted because now they're focusing that attention on themselves, because maybe initially their desire was to please their partner or to have better interaction with their partner, but they really weren't looking within themselves. Because we have to know how to bring pleasure, how to bring ourselves to pleasure, or how to enjoy pleasure within ourselves before we can share that with another person. You know, if
Uh-huh.
you're with a partner, you can't get upset with them. I mean, we can, yes, we can get upset with them if they don't please us. Yes, that's normal, it's natural, okay? But if we don't know what pleases
Over in
us,
just 10 seconds. How do you expect me? No, okay.
I haven't
Not,
even started yet. Yeah. Because, and that's another thing too, because as women, when like I studied like years ago, I studied like the female orgasm, and I never realized that it takes us a while. Like we can go up and down and up and down. Men, they're just like boom, done, you know. And until you realize that, until you understand that, you may not you may think that something's wrong with you because you can't bring yourself to pleasure or orgasm within a certain amount of time. So,
yeah,
but I think the main thing to remember with either pleasure or orgasms is that everyone's pleasure looks different. Everyone feels pleasure in different ways, and everyone experiences pleasure in different ways, and everyone experiences orgasms in different ways. Like we can't look to movies or porn or TV to know what an orgasm looks like because I've never look my orgasms never look like that. I don't know about you or anyone else, but yeah, mine have never looked like that. So,
I recently rewatched When Harry Met Sally because I don't watch
oh,
porn. So that's not something that I have ever compared myself to because I don't
right,
watch
and
it.
that's
Doesn't.
good. That's a good thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for those of you who watch porn, then you need to hear from Tamara that don't compare yourself to those people. But you've seen When Harry Met Sally, right? And
Yes. Yes. And that wonderful deli scene.
that is such a great scene. And yeah, that was very funny. And boy, she was good at that acting that scene because
Yeah.
I mean I want to do it right now that we're talking about this.
She's like, and the way that she built up to it, it was just like, and then she was just, you know, it's like, well, okay.
Yeah, that was pleasurable and just to say, even though it wasn't a real orgasm, just all of that expression. I mean that's kind of pleasurable, you know.
Right.
Anyway, so tell us more about pleasure. What are some different things that we can do besides work with you, just in general, to open up to pleasure, to consider, to think about with this whole reclaiming your pleasure journey?
Okay. Well, I would say think about experiences that stimulate all of your senses. Not all of your senses at the same time, but that have a certain like a certain smell or a certain taste. Like maybe if you're a coffee drinker in the morning, instead of just guzzling it down or drinking it down, just taking some time to wrap your hands around the coffee mug and just smelling it and then
Mhm.
tasting it if you have that time. If you can always make the time if you can. um if you have a favorite food, like I feel like all my references are food related. If you have a favorite food, if you have a favorite piece of chocolate or whatever. For me, I know for me when I really started to get into self pleasure, not self pleasure, but pleasure and self care. Taking a bubble bath was a big deal, a huge deal for me, especially being a single mom. Making the
Mm,
time to let my daughter know, like, hey, mom needs to take a bubble bath. Either I would do it while she was busy, like at doing homework, or after she went to bed. I just making the time to take a bubble bath is just the most amazing experience for me.
mm,
So if you can do that, if you can add a bubble bath, if you can do that, if you can, and it doesn't, and it can be something like what I love now. I don't like, I have this little thing. I don't like grocery shopping. I don't know what it is. I don't like going to the grocery store, but I love getting my groceries delivered. Yes! I know I liked you. That
one of the
is
best things for
so,
me came out of COVID is I
I
never
know. Yes.
costs a little bit more. I don't have to go to the grocery store.
I don't
So,
have to go. I don't know what it is, but maybe it's just I'm overly stimulated. I don't know what it is, but I don't like I'll go in for a quick trip if I need to just pick up something or go to a drugstore or something like that. But the the idea of actually going to the grocery store on a Sunday and filling my cart up with that's what I usually do, go, do it on Sundays for the week. I love getting on my phone on a Sunday. This is my routine. Sunday mornings, I get on the phone. I put in my order, and I've had the same shopper for like 6 months. So it's like she knows my
oh,
order now. Like it's an app, but you're able to, like, when you get a shopper that you really enjoy, you're able to like save them. So she knows that I'm gonna shop on Sundays now. So she knows me, I know her, and she kind of knows what I like. So I get on my phone, I place my order for my groceries, and then I go take a bubble bath. Like I wait, like I have the order, I schedule the order to be delivered 2 hours from when I place it, and I go take a bubble bath while I'm
oh,
waiting for my groceries to be delivered. That's
oh.
my pleasurable Sunday. And it's not a sexual experience. I mean, it can be,
Right.
but
But
you
it's
know,
cool. I mean, the bubble bath and even placing the order and feeling that sense of satisfaction that you're just doing it from home. I mean, that just
yes.
feels so liberating. Oh
I
my God.
love it. I love it. And I love that you love that too, because a lot of people don't know that you can do that. Just you can get your groceries delivered. Like,
Oh,
yes, it's a thing. It's really a thing, and it's okay. I don't care. Like, I love having my groceries delivered. And like you said, I might pay a little bit more for like the delivery fee, but that's a stress level that I don't have to put myself through. So
mhm,
that's pleasure. And it
mhm.
can be, like I said, it can be anything. That's my typical Sunday morning. But if you want to incorporate some form of sexuality or sensuality when it comes to pleasure, think about, your body. I think last time we were talking about rubbing your hands or rubbing your skin, and that's something else that involves the senses. How does
Mm.
it feel? What does it make you think about? Maybe you have a favorite lotion, scented lotion that will stimulate, your smell, your sense of smell. So anything that we're gonna dance. Now we're gonna get into a little dance. So anything that stimulates your senses is pleasurable, you
Mhm,
know?
mhm.
Um, so yeah, it's not, I would say this, don't give too much thought to it. Don't think about it too much, because
Mm.
it's possible that you're probably already doing something. There's probably something in your routine that you're already doing, but maybe if you took more time to do it and really embraced it, like when we're eating food, instead of just eating quickly, at lunchtime or at breakfast, whatever, just take your time. That's
Mhm,
pleasure. And then you
mhm.
can get to the next level of of sexuality, allowing, enjoying pleasure when it comes to sex. But if you can't enjoy pleasure in your everyday life, jumping to sex is gonna be too overwhelming.
Oh, that is a really good point. That's a really good point. So that challenge that a lot of women experience, probably most more women than men, about feeling worthy and deserving of pleasure
Hmm.
is
That's true.
something that has to be overcome. To, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I just want to say to our listeners, folks, we see you out there. Tamara and I are having a great time. I hope you're having a great time too. If you have a comment, share it. And whether you're watching this live or watching the replay, let us know what you think. And while I'm saying that, Tamara, what's the best way for people to reach out to you if they want to know more or take a next step with you and keep moving forward with reclaiming their pleasure?
Sure. Well, I am on Instagram. I am the Passion Pleasure Coach on Instagram. So Passion Pleasure Coach is where you can find me, and there's a link in my bio for different things that where they can get in touch with me, or you can go to passionpleasurecoach.com and get my free ebook, which is the 6 sexy steps to more pleasure, more desires, and more pleasure. So.
Oh, wow. I have not yet downloaded that. I probably need to go over there because, as y'all heard, this week has not been pleasurable. I probably need some reminders of how to increase my pleasure. experience. But I'll share a couple of things that I do that are sensual related, and so just to add to the possibilities,
Sure.
I love the experience of feeling the wind on my skin,
Yes.
and I often forget about it unless the wind is blowing enough that I really notice it. And I have to go outside to feel it. So it feels super good, but I have to create that situation.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting that I also really love to see the light dance on water. You know how when the water
Oh.
ripples and there's that light, it just looks like white light on the water. I don't care
Mm-hmm.
where I am in the pool, if I'm walking or driving by a lake or walking or swimming in the ocean. When I see the light dance on the water, just I feel,
Oh.
yeah, it makes me so happy. Yeah.
Yeah, that is really nice. So kind of like when the light is just dancing on the water. Like, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
It's
really nice.
sparkly. It's like
Sparkling.
sparkly. Mhm.
Mm-hmm. That's
Yeah.
really pretty. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's something about that I really enjoy that experience and it feeds me somehow. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it is. It really is. That is very interesting. Because for me, it's
What?
water. I just like being near water. So there's like whenever I need to have some downtime, when I have time, there's a lake nearby, and I drive to the lake, and I can just sit in my car. I can get out and and walk around the lake, but just even sitting at my in my car and just watching the water, just watching the waves, if there are waves that day. But yeah, I just love water, and then your added touch of the light dancing on the water is really nice.
Mm.
Yeah. I would love if anyone could share in the comments what they find, what in their life brings them pleasure, or what
Oh,
everyday things bring them pleasure.
yeah, what a great question. We'll see if we get any responses. So, yeah, I've got my new laptop. It's doing weird things.
Uh-oh.
So, anyhow,
As long as it keeps us talking for the next couple minutes. It doesn't shut off or anything.
I don't
That
think
would be
that's yeah.
hilarious.
That would be sort of hilarious. We did an interview a couple of months ago, folks. Those of you who are watching and listening, and that week I was out of power that day, like for that day and maybe the next day. And that's not typical for me. And we have this wonderful interview planned and scheduled. So I got on my phone and it was very challenging for me to do anything on my phone that was that kind of a thing. It's just challenging because my phone feels so little to me. So that
Mhm.
was interesting. And then this week, my laptop died. I had to get a new laptop. And so there I'm having this weird experience. Thank you, Tamara, for all of your understanding.
No problem.
So, all right, reclaiming pleasure. You've said we can find pleasure every day.
Hmm.
Um, we need to want we need to want pleasure. You said that, right?
We need to want it and know that we deserve it, because
Mm,
we need to know that we don't need to do anything in order to deserve it. We already, once we make the decision to have pleasure, we can have it. And that's difficult. That can be difficult for women sometimes,
mm,
because we're taught
okay.
to not focus on ourselves.
Mhm. Right. Yeah. It's
Hmm.
interesting. I mean, I'm thinking about both of those components, to want it and then know that we deserve it. And I know personally, I can get busy in my doing. I got to do this, I got to do that. That the only pleasure I get is the relaxing at the end of the night watching Netflix or something, watching something on
Right.
Netflix and just being like a vegetable. Well, I can't think anymore. So now it's time for me to just be a vegetable.
Right.
Pleasure, that's like something I do before I fall asleep. So to remind myself of having pleasure, uh, that I want pleasure, because I do, because I have a deep yearning to love my life. So part of that's got to be having pleasurable experiences on a regular basis, whether it's
Exactly.
cool conversations with someone like you, someone fun, someone enjoyable, someone interesting, or watching the water dance or tasting wonderful things. That's
Hmm.
part of having a great life or having orgasms and whatever. That's kind of fun.
Oh, and pleasuring the clitoris.
Oh yeah, the clitoris, the clitoris.
That's the word of the day is clitoris because we did it. We
Okay,
said it. We said it. It's out there. So that's the word.
okay. The word of the day, clitoris. I love it. And the definition is no. Before we wrap up, and is there any tips that you have for folks around the worthiness piece to know that I know you told us that because we're here, we've got this part of our body that says we deserve pleasure because it's part of us. Is there anything else that you can share with people around that the shift from feeling like they don't deserve it to knowing they do?
Okay, well, I guess two quick points. One is focusing on self-love and self-compassion, and just taking the time to really truly love yourself, love the body you're in, love who you are, love what you've accomplished, like focusing on the positive things. And the other point of that is challenging the negative self-talk because the negative self-talk will be there. I haven't figured out a way to stop it, but one thing that worked for me to, I guess, reverse it or to kind of not give as much attention to it as I used to was when those thoughts would come to me and I was actually believing those things. I don't even remember how I got to this point, but I started saying, would I ever say these things to my daughter? Would I ever say these things to my best friend? Would I ever say these things to someone I love? And I said, well, I love myself. So why am I believing the negative self-talk? And
Mm,
that ties into the first point with the self-care and the self-love. So if you can
mm,
get to those, if you can overcome those two things and loving yourself and challenging the negative self-talk, that
mm,
will kind of lead you into the deservingness and the worthiness of experiencing
mhm,
pleasure and
mhm.
experiencing more and more pleasure in your life.
And would you invite people to on a daily basis or moment to moment basis or hour to hour basis, like to ask themselves what could I do today to feel pleasure? Like I'm imagining a little post-it note or something.
Right.
I feel pleasure now. I see my little note saying and like the reminder. Do we need to remind ourselves about it
Yeah,
or
in the beginning, but when you're coming out of the negative self-talk and you're practicing self-love, you do need a reminder, just like with any new habit. For some people, pleasure or experiencing pleasure or allowing yourself to experience pleasure is a new habit. So I would say yes, have a post-it note or I what works for me is notifications on my phone.
my phone? Mm,
Maybe setting up an alarm, like one of my alarm, like if your morning alarm or an alarm for you to do that you want to take if you need to take the kids to soccer or dance or whatever, maybe have an alert that says and do something for yourself or find something that brings you pleasure today. And one little thing, it can start with one little thing, not little, but one thing that brings you pleasure. And if doing something pleasurable every day is too much, then start with once a week. Once a week, I'm going to go to the coffee shop or I'll go get ice cream or whatever. I always go back to food. I always go back to food references. Maybe I'm hungry. I don't know. But yeah, so yeah, if you need a reminder, I think that's great.
okay. All right. I love the invitation to ask myself daily and to invite myself daily to find something to feel pleasure, to find some sort of pleasure experience today. So,
Yes.
so all right, if I'm not alone, y'all take that on with me. Share your comments and thoughts and questions. And before we wrap up, let's remind everybody what your URL is, your website, and that what is it? Six sexy.
Six sexy steps to your desires and more pleasure.
Okay, and will this help people remember all this stuff? Is that or is it going to be
Um,
something
it
more hot?
it's not very it's a little sexual, but it's not really. Like it's really like the beginning stages of pleasure and
Okay,
desires. It's really to get you focused on yourself. Is what the it's a PDF. It's like a 3-page ebook.
Perfect. Okay. So, and to say the URL again for
The
folks.
URL is www.passionpleasurecoach.com. And on Instagram, I am Passion Pleasure Coach.
Okay. So passionpleasurecoach.com, or go to Instagram and type in Passion Pleasure Coach, and you will be connected with Tamara, which of course you want to be for more pleasure of all types in your life.
Yes. I give
So,
lots of pleasure tips on Instagram. So, yeah. So come
oh,
follow me.
oh, great. Wonderful, wonderful. So, my friends, so Tamara, thank you for being here. This was so much fun. And
Yes.
And thanks to everyone who has joined us for this Real Women, Real Purpose talk show. I will be back on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, the 28th, talking with women who are going to be guests on my upcoming Vibrant Entrepreneurs Online event. That's actually happening on March 10th, but the Real Women, Real Purpose talk show on February 28th, we're going to be talking about the different ways to attract clients that we'll be focusing on during the wonderful Vibrant Entrepreneurs Online event. So join us there for this interview if you would like to find out more. And if you love this interview today with Tamara, share it with your friends straight from Facebook, or if you're watching it on YouTube, share the YouTube link. And if you haven't yet gone to our YouTube channel, go to YouTube, type in On Purpose Women Global Community, and subscribe. We have
Yes.
lots of amazing interviews, as well as speakers from our On Purpose Women gatherings. And my goodness, there's some wonderful information, wonderful people. So check that out. All right, everybody. I'll see you next time. Thanks again, Tamara.
Thank
And
you.
all right. Bye, everybody.